welcome to our podcast today. This is episode 2. I am here with two very knowledgeable, very experienced people in the world of health, fitness, and anti-aging. To my left, I have Linda Stevens, IFBB Pro and Elite Trainer, NASM certified. And then to my right, I have Rob Naranjo from GTI Med Spa. Before we start, I just want to give credit to our sponsor, Trainer Revenue Multiplier, TRM, helping experienced fitness professionals rebuild and reignite their business. Trainer Revenue Multiplier is the premier wealth creation program for personal and online trainers on how to build a successful, profitable 6- and 7-figure a year business. Matthew Park, Jamie Filer, and the TRM team dive into the strategies that will help you become insanely profitable, charge your worth, and systemize your business for more freedom and impact. How important is that for personal trainers today? So that's what I wanted to actually talk about that before we actually go into our hard topics, because right now, as you both know, we're really trying to dial in on connecting the doctors, the trainers, and med spa owners, hormone clinics, because of the value they bring in working together. So before we do that, though, I spoke to Matt Park, and what great testimonials, outstanding testimonials from his clients. And I know that, Linda, you're one of them.
Yes, I am.
But there's really no greater value or asset than a knowledgeable trainer who really is on cutting edge, working, especially today, as we know, with the doctors and the hormone clinics to optimize health and performance. They're a great asset. And sadly, as we know also, they have a very difficult time making a living. So they have to surrender their passion, doing what they love to do, because they just can't make it work. So they either have to get a second job or they have to surrender it. So tell us about Matt, Linda, and your experience with him.
So I met Matt in 2017. I was at the Olympia, and I was with some friends, and we were all working out in the gym, and we all just started chatting. And then we just kept in touch, and he sent me a message one day and said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm, a little stressed. Why?" Talking about my business and, just where things were going. And he's like, I work with trainers. I'm a coach. I help them increase their income level and be more productive. And he's like, "Let's schedule a call and talk about your business." And that's really how it took off. And then I sort of pushed back a little bit. I didn't want to sign up with them. It's always like money. Like, I'm a little concerned. I don't know if I want to spend the money right now.
A typical issue with trainers.
Yes.
Very common.
And having children and bills and life. And so anyways, we worked something out, and I started working with him in March of 2018. And it's been a great trajectory upwards since I've worked with him. And he pushes me beyond my limits. I always push back a little bit sometimes. And it's been great, because he's just shown me how to elevate my business, how to increase pricing and increase value, and just think about the future.
How long have you been with him?
March of 2018.
Yeah, extremely knowledgeable guy, very passionate and sincere in what it does. So it's awesome that, and I'm very thankful for him participating in our show today. So you can check out Matthew Park. He is the CEO of Trainer Revenue Multiplier, their website, trainerrevenuemultiplier.com. And the same goes for the Instagram, Trainer Revenue Multiplier. And again, the Trainer Revenue Multiplier podcast can also be found on iTunes and Spotify. So check them out. A great value to our trainers today. So with that said, let's move forward and just go over to Rob real quick. So Rob was in our first episode,
that's right,
which was awesome.
Yeah,
so,
fantastic.
Yep. So,
had a great time.
Yeah, same here, Rob. So welcome back.
Thank you so much.
And before we go into Linda's topics and what we're going to talk about today, mainly women's health, but many other things, the value of the trainer working with the doctor and yourself.
Absolutely. So last episode we had Vinny on the show. Vinny is one of our health style coach at GTI that really brings the full circle to health. We have great treatments over at GTI. It's all anti-aging treatments. So anywhere from hormone replacement, bioidentical hormone replacement, to weight loss, to just health in general, peptides, IV vitamin therapy, NAD. So it's just, there's so much. Everything that we see over at Dr. Bob's event at A4M, we learn, we bring it to our office, and we put it to practice. It's just evidence-based practice, and, we get the best results, right? All the science is put to our hands, and Dr. Bob does a fantastic job doing that, and we put that to work at the office. So just had a lot of privilege working with a lot of individuals. They trust in us, and changing their lives and helping them. So Vinny comes in as a huge player in all this, because he circles back. He makes sure that they're doing their homework at home,
Right.
because we can have the best treatment, and I said that last show, and we could have the best treatments, but if patients aren't doing the right thing when they go home, it just doesn't work. So we see that at the end, and it's all about outcomes and bringing great treatments to these patients, and changing lives. Right.
Well, it's
Definitely.
super exciting how it's
Definitely.
evolved, and we'll talk about that also, how the trainer-doctor relationships has evolved. But Linda, most importantly, when I look at all that you've done, is mother of two teenagers.
Actually, one's
proud mom.
21 now. I guess I need to
21.
adjust that. One's
okay.
21, but one's 18
Okay.
still. So
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Thank you.
So that's number one. And then founder of Midlife Mastery, which we're going to be
Yes.
diving into that today.
Love that name. Love that.
And
Thank you.
It is great.
Fantastic.
Featured Midlife Mastery on Muscle and Fitness Plus. So make sure that Linda has a channel on Muscle and Fitness Plus, part of a global brand, of course, of Muscle and Fitness Hers, Flex, and of course the renowned Mr. Olympia Weekend, which is a combination of bodybuilding, sports, and fitness. Master's degree in clinical nutrition, and then certified through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, a great organization. IFBB Pro, and judge for the NPC. And of course, you've written in international publications, including, Muscle and Fitness, Muscle and Fitness Hers,
yes.
and a speaker on health issues, mainly for women. So again, welcome, Linda. Thank you for joining us today. So we're going to dive right into these hot topics that really mainly geared or targeted to women. And then Rob, you're going to dive into,
Sure.
to give your insights, of course. So let's begin with we'll talk about women's health overall, symptoms. What are some of the symptoms, especially going through menopause or other things like that, that could identify like, okay, I have to go to the next level? What would you advise them to do?
A lot of the things that women in midlife come to me, and I like to say over 40, 50 and beyond, because it's not just a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old. I have a lot of clients in their 60s also, and even some early 70s. The main issue normally they'll come, they'll come in with is unwanted weight gain. Like all of a sudden, they'll use hand gestures where they'll put their hands around their midsection, or they'll put their arms out and say, I have all this extra skin here, or around the thighs, the legs. So most of the time it's that weight gain that they're experiencing. A lot of them don't sleep well. A lot of them don't go to the bathroom every day. A lot of them are very sedentary because they're sitting at a desk job. A lot of them are drinking way too much alcohol. And even a little bit of alcohol can affect someone in a negative way. But, many times these women will say to me, I'll have 2 or 3 glasses of wine a night, every night. And that's a problem there. They're hot flashing while they sleep. They have night sweats. It's just the list goes on and on and on. And my approach is to look at their lifestyle. And I'm so happy you're here, because we'll be able to have so much great collaboration, about this. But lifestyle is a big thing. And I always find when I can help them change up their lifestyle, they get a lot of relief quickly. Sometimes you get the person that, when you look at their blood work and you look at their thyroid, you look at their hormone levels, you look at their testosterone levels, sometimes some people have other things going on. And that's when someone like yourself comes in, because you can say, all right, look, we've done your blood panel. These are the things I see. It's beyond my scope of training, but I understand it. But now you need to talk to someone that can give you the protocols that can help you get to the next step. I can help your diet. I can help you in the gym. I can help you be accountable every week. They're checking in with me and asking me questions, and it's a collaboration. But I need someone like Rob now, or someone that is versed in that area that can prescribe and help them.
When did you start that process? Like right now, more trainers, as we talked about the last show, Rob, more trainers are, working with doctors, but not enough.
Right.
Not enough yet. So at what point did you start dialing into, I want my clients to start seeing a doctor and prescribing blood work? Or let's start with, do you, when your first interaction with the client, they come to you, a new client, would one of the first things be, let's see what your blood work looks like?
Yes. So when a new client comes in, the way I onboard them is that I have a questionnaire that they'll fill out. And one of the questions is, when was the last time you had blood work? And usually they'll say, I did it 6 months ago, I did it 2 years ago.
What do you think is what's the most common answer for that? Do most do it within the year?
Most have had it done. Most women have had it done because
yearly, you'd say?
yes, because unlike men, we go to our OBGYNs once a year. We have a physical once a year. So usually one of those doctors will prescribe, a metabolic panel and blood work and cholesterol and things like that. So most of the time women will say, I just did it, or I'm doing it in a month, or I did it a year ago. So that is usually the answer. I very rarely have seen a woman say she hasn't done it in a while.
Let me just intervene there for a second. So getting blood work is very different from doing a deep dive into blood work.
Mm-hmm.
So doing your yearly at your primary,
Very different.
Right.
very different from what we do at Juventi.
So Rob, so what Rob's saying, I know, but you hit the point.
I know exactly
I want
what
to
he's
stay on
saying.
point because what we're getting at is you work with an A4M doctor.
Yes.
So I just want to point that out. Oh,
Right.
sorry, Rob.
Yeah. No, and I just want to emphasize that just because I get plenty of patients. Oh, I had my full physical. I had it done, last year, and on the money. Everything is within normal limits.
Right.
Which is such a, that word right there. It
Normal.
throws within normal limits throws everybody off. So
Normal for who?
Right.
for the patient.
No,
at the end.
I know, but
At the end.
But
right?
there's no cookie cutter, right?
Right.
There's no cookie.
No.
Especially with thyroid.
And
Because they'll say, my TSH was fine. I was in the range. But, and then when I say, and you'll appreciate this, tell your doctor you want to do T3, T4, reverse T3. Look at these other thyroid hormones because TSH might be in the range, but maybe something else is off. So
One more to add to that is TPO. TPO is checking to see if the thyroid's being attacked by your own immune system.
okay.
And if that's the case, do we need to look at the gut? Now it's not. It's now we're not looking at the thyroid. Now we're looking at the gut, right? So
Another huge topic.
this is a
Right.
deep
It is.
dive.
Deep dive.
This is a deep dive into health,
Yeah.
as opposed to just skimming the top and saying
Right.
everything looks good. I'll see you next year.
So Rob, for men, Linda said most women, yearly.
Yes.
Most.
Yes.
What would you say is the average for a man? Like lately, when I've been asking my friends, some don't even remember when the last time.
So I don't understand the question.
How often do you feel men get their blood work done?
So men, probably less than women. Women are more attuned, just because all the preventative measures, pap smears, mammograms. So
Right.
primary care doctors are drilling, but they're drilling because of insurance, right? Insurance are holding primary care doctors responsible for that patient's health, and it's based on metrics, not on true outcomes. Patients end up with a laundry list of medications, and their health is plummeting. So that's where we have to hit the e-brake and say, what are we doing? What are we doing for the patient? As a clinician, as a trainer, are we really helping the patient, or our patients continue, taking a deep dive in their health, right?
100%. So once you get the blood work back,
Right.
the doctor gets the blood work back. I would assume you go over that with the doctor. You identify immediate needs and deficiencies.
Yes.
And then would you reach out to someone like Rob to say, I would like you to look at their blood work? Or is that through your doctor that you're working with, where they'll turn them on to people that would prescribe them with, whether it's TRT or
Right.
some other deficiency?
Normally I'll go back to the doctor, and if I have questions, because I don't know everything, but I have a good broad knowledge. But having someone like Rob would be great to be able to collaborate with also. But it is important to go back and look at, what numbers come back to see what could be affecting the person, why they can't lose weight, why are they not sleeping, why are all these things happening. And a lot of women, and I know we're going to talk about this in a bit, but the hormone replacement therapy is a huge hot topic right now. And I've really been diving into it more, talking to different doctors about it, trying to read about it, understand it. The New York Times about a month or so ago had a big article in about menopause, and there's so many myths around hormone replacement. People think it's going to cause cancer. And I had one patient who said she came back from her primary, and she said, I mentioned to my doctor what you said about BHRT, and she said she jumped out of her chair and was like, absolutely not, don't even think about it. So it's really unfortunate that they do that.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but it's really ill-informed, ill-educated doctors. I mean, when we go to doctors, we're giving all our trust in that doctor, and that's kind of the way things work day to day. I'm asking the doctor, when am I going to feel better? And that's unfortunate. because in our line of work, what we're doing is we're giving autonomy back to the patient, back to the client. And that's the way it should be, where we're saying, you know, when you're going to feel better, because this is your homework, right? This
Right.
is what you need to do. Follow the script and you're going to do fine. You're going to be fantastic. And you're going to tell me when you feel good.
Right.
Not you going to doctor, asking the doctor to give you a diagnosis and a pill, and now I'm going to feel better. That's what we're trying to prevent. That's the whole revolution in anti-aging, right? And that's what we learn at A4M. We're learning how to help approach this patient and give them the best information, education, and let them thrive in the community. People are not thriving in the community.
Absolutely
How
not.
important is that? We've all been to Dr. Bob's.
Shout out to Dr. Bob.
Yeah, shout out to Dr.
I
Bob.
can't say it enough.
Yeah.
I can't say it
But
enough.
we're both all there. We're pretty much there yearly. How important is that conference, especially right now? The man, in 1990, they looked at him and anti-aging, and they just, like any typical hardworking success story.
Right.
He didn't care. He knew what he was doing, and here we are, a $300 billion industry, and redefining medicine.
Absolutely.
That's exactly
Precision medicine.
You can't.
I know.
There's no other words.
Yeah, education. And we'll just give the quick shout out May 18th to the 20th at the Gaylord Hotel in Orlando for those that want to go to a conference. And as Rob said, a great conference for education. I strongly encourage trainers. Linda goes. She's not a doctor. She knows that's cutting edge. And then to dive right back into our topic, the blood work comes back.
Yes.
You identify, you work with your doctor. Had you not gotten the blood work results, would that the physical workout program be different, not knowing what you know?
Yes, because you're just sort of shooting in the dark, if you will, if you don't really have an idea of what's going
Including
on.
nutritional.
Including nutrition, exactly. I mean, I really need to understand their whole lifestyle, because if they're having joint pain or issues or things like that, you don't want them doing anything that could possibly cause injury or harm. I mean, they've come to me to live better, to feel better, to have more energy, to lose that weight, to build some muscle, so that when they're 70 and 80, they're still upright and they can walk on their own. But I wanted to say one quick thing about A4M also, that going there is just the knowledge that I get every time I come home. It's so exciting because there's always something new to learn.
Opening your eyes.
Yes, and you meet so many great people, and you go into the exhibit hall, and there's just so many great pharmaceutical grade companies there, versus sending people to other sites to buy things. So it's a
great event.
The wealth of knowledge is unbelievable.
Huge resource.
I love going.
Huge.
It's so exciting. It's like a vacation.
It is.
It is. Well, it's great network, all like-minded people, right?
Right,
The ones that are there
exactly.
are really dialed into changing, as you said, Rob, you're not just changing lives, you're saving lives.
Right.
That's what this whole program is about, education and raising awareness. Rob touched on something earlier real quick, but it all comes back to food sensitivity, inflammation, gut health. So before we move on, Linda, I want your input, and then Rob, I want to go right back to you on the gut health. So my two real strong baselines. You have in-body composition, of course, that's going to give you a good baseline for where they're at now.
Right.
Physically, their body composition. But now, if you get the blood work back and food sensitivity, identifying foods that your body may be sensitive to, causing inflammation, and we all know the things that go along with inflammation inside the human body, the way we think, feel, and look. So what do you do in regards to food sensitivity? Do you do some sort of test, or is that dialed in on your blood work?
That I have not done food sensitivity with many people. Some people will come in and say things that one of my questions on my intake form, I do discuss with them food allergies. A lot of people sometimes are tuned into, I have a nut allergy, I have a this allergy, or I can't eat certain fruits. So I'll usually use that, but I have not gone into the food sensitivity realm yet, but that is definitely like a next level for me to start looking at.
Yeah, it's just the inflammation, because I know, Rob, you do a lot with the gut health and inflammation.
No, we do. So, the topic that we talked about before, thyroid, when we look at TPO and we see TPO numbers that are extremely high, we don't even, we stop looking at the thyroid, because now we know there's an inflammatory issue going on in the body, that it's attacking its own organs. So we have to quiet it down, and usually it starts in the gut. Why do we know that? Because of the highly processed food that we eat. The inventory is just very poor. A lot of sugar, corn fructose syrup left and right. and
Seed
even
oils and
seed oils and
and-
oxidative stress and it just goes on and on. So we're treating patients, and we're looking at that inflammatory. We're looking at 3 different types of inflammatory markers, and that gives us like a good perspective of where we're going with that patient. And then lifestyle is huge.
Right.
When we sit down and talk to the patient, everything is just what Linda said. We're going down the rabbit hole.
Mhm.
What's going on? From A to B, what's going on? What's day to day? If I come to your house, what does breakfast look like? What
Right.
does lunch?
Exactly.
What does dinner
Completely
look like?
dialing in.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. How many times a week are you exercising? Are you exercising at all?
Right. Right.
So it's critical. All these questions are critical, and it brings a good perspective.
What are some of the symptoms of inflammation? I know, but I want you to come from you. So what would some symptoms be of inflammation?
Yeah, so a lot of people come in and just nutrients. They can't eat certain foods. A great meal, broccoli, steak, and they're like, I can't eat that. It upsets my
Bloating,
stomach.
digestive
I get
disorders.
diarrhea for a day, and I can't eat that stuff. I have to eat other stuff. That alone tells me what's going on. Weight gain. Weight gain, I would say a good percentage of that is inflammation. When people start an anti-inflammatory treatment plan, either exercise or eating right, or some sort of a treatment plan, a care plan that we're offering, they start losing weight like instantly, like the
Right.
first week.
The bloat goes down. They'll say to me, after a week of doing this, my stomach is flatter. I wake up feeling better.
And it's all fluid. It's
Right.
all fluid. It's all inflammation. We're turning down that fire. And I give different analogy to people. Inflammation is needed. So there's chronic and there's acute, right? There's acute that when you sprain your leg or foot, from there on, you're trying to get better, right? So you need all that inflammatory. It gets hot, red to touch. That's what you need. That's what you need to continue life, normally. But then you have chronic inflammation. So what does that look like? And I use analogy as fire. So if you grab newspaper and you turn it on, it's like, it just turns on, right? It's like you have a huge flame all of a sudden. But what about a log? A log that's just burning, low simmer. And that's what chronic inflammation looks like. Simmering. It's just red, piping hot, but it's just sitting there.
It's a good analogy.
And it lasts for hours and hours.
Oh, he's very good at that.
It's a good analogy.
The inflammation that we need to bounce back, that's part of life. We need that part of inflammation. Our immune response is going to that whatever specific area, and it's making it better. That cold,
To heal
that
you.
upset stomach, boom, it's healing, and you're bouncing right back. Now, how long it takes, that's where the money's at.
Right.
What are you doing with your life? What's lifestyle issues that are going on? Are you not exercising? Sedentary lifestyle, eating the sugar? What's going on? So it's taking that deep dive and trying to fix the patient.
And there's the other thing too I've been looking into also are the endocrine disruptors too. And it's amazing to me now that I've really been looking at labels of cosmetics and body lotions.
The impact.
And, all candles, scented candles. Like there's, my daughter loves scented candles. And she's like, oh, she read something and sent it to me on Instagram. And she said, oh, Mom, now even candles. But it's true. There's so many things in our environment that cause inflammation. And canola oil is in just about everything. You have to pick up. I tell people now, I'm like, you have to look at labels, read labels, especially what you're putting in your body and your kids. Because a lot of my clients have younger children. And high fructose corn syrup is in everything.
And we're always talking about adults, but the kids, think about the kids that are being impacted by this.
Exactly. They're starting out, and it's, and sleep and just all that. There's just so much. It's endless, but you have to now be a concerned, alert, aware consumer. You have to look at labels no matter who you are.
Read what's in the product. Someone comes to you with these different symptoms, as I said earlier, depression, anxiety, stress. Again, it goes back to, lifestyle exam, taking the deep dive, as you said, Rob, right? Take a deep dive into or what's happening in your life. What are you eating? What are you putting into your body? What are the first steps, how you advise someone on some sort of program, nutrition-wise and physically?
After they come in and we go through their questionnaire and I get all the information I need and talk to them, I'll sit down and create a meal plan for them based on the information that I took from them. And I use, regular, real foods, but I want them to understand, what they're eating, why they're eating it, foods with minimal ingredients, fruits, vegetables, clean, good carbohydrates for fuel, for lasting energy. People have a lot of misconceptions about, well, I shouldn't eat fruit, right? Because it's sugar. And I'm like, yes, but it's fructose. It's different. It breaks down. It has fiber. Not all carbs are bad, but you can't sit down and eat a sleeve of Ritz crackers at 9 o'clock at night and a glass of wine and go to bed. Like, it's getting them eating real fresh, real clean foods, getting them doing some kind of cardiovascular exercise, because that's important for circulation, for brain health. I listen to Perlmutter, Dr. Perlmutter,
Great.
and some of the other doctors out there on Instagram that are legit, that talk about brain health and cardiovascular, 30 minutes a day, just to get the blood flow to the brain, to keep it alive, to keep it thriving, because women suffer more from Alzheimer's and dementia than men do because of hormones dropping off also. But, it's getting them moving, circulation, strength training, bone mass. Yoga and Pilates and all the different modalities are awesome, but you really need to get in the gym and use some weight, build some muscle mass, build some strong bones, keep them strong. So it's giving them a solid meal plan, a solid workout program, some cardiovascular, and then every week they're checking in with me through an automated format I use. They send it in to me, and then I go back to them and give them my feedback. But it's a virtual coaching. I have women all over the United States, and it works. It works awesome when you, like what you said before, take your prescription, go home and do what you should be doing, and you will feel better. So, but getting them to do it sometimes is
so hard.
Is the rub. Sometimes that's difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a big piece to that is body shaming, food shaming.
Right.
And as professionals, we stay away from that, right? And I'm sure you do as
Absolutely.
well. Because as soon as you get into that, it's just it's a dark place, and that's what we're trying to stay away from. We're trying to bring them up with education, make them autonomous, make them understand that that sugar's 7 times more addictive than cocaine and heroin. Like that's
great.
I don't think they still think that way.
No, they don't. So if you use sugar as an addiction model, you can step back and say, you know what, I'm not going to have it in my house.
Right.
Because I know as soon as I have it in my house, it's over. It's lights out.
It's calling you from the cabinet.
It's like an alcohol. It's like anything. Yeah, it's like
just
have
like
a bottle
any
right there.
Yeah.
If you know what the problem is, you don't want it right in front of you.
Right. So we have to respect that, and I think use it as an addiction model, and there's so much to learn about food, and food is medicine, right?
It is.
Hippocrates.
They said that he said that back when, whatever.
Hippocrates.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on plant-based diet, Rob?
So plant-based diet, I think, is very interesting. I follow it, and I go in and out of it, but I eat meat. I eat chicken, I eat poultry, and I'm a big fan of it. And I tell people that if you stay on one diet for a long period of time, it's not going to work. You have to constantly, just like exercise, you have to confuse the muscle, and sometimes one meal will not cover exactly what that microbiome needs, what your health in general, the biochemistry, right?
Microbiome, right?
Yeah. The biochemistry is so important, and if we just stick to keto or just stick to just the all meat diet, it doesn't work.
Right.
We have to really balance it and have professionals sit down with us and say, what are you eating? How are you exercising? It's all in dosages, right? Food is just like medicine. It's in dosages.
Right.
How much sugar are you having? Is it this amount or is it that amount?
And with all this information, think about the dramatic results you can get that much faster, knowing the blood work, food sensitive, what's causing inflammation, working with the doctor, working with the trainer. I want to go into vitamin supplementation, nootropics. You give them the workout program.
Yes.
You give them a nutritional program.
Yes.
Their healthy eating throughout the course of the week or whatever. Then vitamin supplementation, and also, what are the common prescriptions? Like, do you find many women are low TRT, or what is most common when you have the doctor prescribing what she needs to do to get them back to optimal health?
Yes. Normally you'll see, especially in the demographic that I'm in, are that their estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels can be lower. On the way here today, I was listening to a podcast. I follow Dr. Sarah Gottfried also, who's part of A4M.
Oh,
She's
she's
spoken several.
fantastic.
I know she's spoken several times there, and she's one of my favorites. And she was talking about growth hormone and testosterone, and those hormones tend sometimes to be more deficient in a lot of the women that I talk to because, and then they don't really know. It's why they're not sleeping great. It's why they're not losing weight. It's why maybe their bone mass, their bone density is lower because their estrogen has fallen off, and they need more of that protocol. So I will recommend certain supplements for my clients. There are some that I like to use with women. I do like to give them a good multivitamin. I do like to use evening primrose oil with a lot of with my midlife mastery women. I do like to use DHEA, again, based on blood work, because DHEA is so important for us for muscle mass, for libido, for mood. So I will use some DHEA depending, again, on the person. It's all very individual specific. And then DHEA is always an interesting conversation because
I want to talk more about the DHEA, yeah.
Because it does raise testosterone levels naturally, but our body makes it. But as soon as women hear, testosterone, they automatically think they're going to be a bodybuilder. So, or they're going to turn into a man, or they're going to get a deep voice, or something's going to happen. It's true, but it is a question I get a lot. Even when I prescribe weight training, strength training movements for women,
women look at it just differently.
They're very concerned about getting too big
perception,
and bulky,
right?
and I'm like, it just doesn't happen that way. So, but yes, there are certain supplements that I like to use based on the person.
DHEA, I'll just go back to Rob. So Mary Grace, a friend of mine, saw Rob. You gave her a DHEA and a couple other things, totally hormone unbalanced, and then now it's like a night and day difference in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I said, it's not a coincidence, obviously, if you're feeling like that for how long you've been feeling like that, and suddenly you have that changeover. So, so Rob, not that you have to use her as an example, but what could, as Linda said, many women most likely don't realize or recognize or are aware that these are the things that need to be paid attention to and adjusted.
Yeah.
So
let's use the topic on DHEA, and we're going to go right back to where we started, inflammation. So DHEA is metabolized in the liver. The liver is a huge component when it comes to production of DHEA, and we look for that in blood work. When we get blood work, we see that, and we see if that liver is producing that DHEA. But in an inflammatory state, that liver is not working. That liver is just trying to get better, especially if it's a fatty liver, right? Just from consumption of sugar and highly processed food, that liver is not doing its primary job. So we look at results and they plummet. They're down. Why? What's going on? We fix inflammation first. We get them on some sort of a protocol, detox, right? A 14-day detox.
I noticed that on your website. You had a 14-day detox.
And it works fantastic. And it's like night and day, right? So and we're using food as medicine. It's all plant-based. So that's when, so you asked me the question about plant-based. That's when I resort to plants, because plants have polyphenols, they have antioxidants, and that's what we use to get the person better in 14 days. And in 21 days, you can lose your addiction to sugar and everything. So it only takes
through your detox.
Yeah. So we usually start, cranking up all the vital organs, right? Because that's where all the magic happens when it comes to hormones. DHEA is raw material to all hormones, right? And that's why we have patients that are feeling better, like all of a sudden, right? Because you're missing that, but we want you to produce it on your own. So that's when food comes into play. That's when exercise comes into play, because we're reducing that inflammatory process, and we're cutting it right from the root cause. What's the root cause? What's the root cause? We just found the root cause. Now we can supplement. Now we see a better outcome. And so, so the topic with women, I think it's huge. And I just want to add this because this is what we do at Juventi. We specialize in women's health as well, because as a clinician, I know that the training that we have in medical school and nursing school, wherever you go, anatomy and physiology is based on the man's body. And that's unfortunate. When a woman comes in through the ER and we're checking for signs and symptoms, we're looking at symptoms that a man presents, not a woman. So it's very hard. I'm trained. Patient comes in through the ER and I'm checking for signs and symptoms, but the patient's not presenting it, a female patient. So what do? Do I continue, or do I send her back home and give her an aspirin? Right. So all these topics are very important, because we have to, as clinicians, as trainers, we have to be the advocate for these patients. And that's something big that we knew and at Juventi, just because we identified that and we just see it. It's a trend. It doesn't end. But women, the good thing about women are very vocal. I don't feel good,
Right.
and something's wrong, and it's that instinct. Men will suffer with it and they'll
Endure it.
endure it, and just it's just part of the process. I'm getting old. No. So to me, age is not it's not something that just happens. It's not a disease process that we have to wait for.
Right.
And it's coming, and well, I'm just getting old. That's just part of the process. No. It's an accumulation mostly of inflammation. Right. And if you attack that and you make that better, you're going to start feeling better. And you start taking ages off, right? Some of that age off, right?
That gut-brain connection.
Absolutely.
Like they say, yeah.
And sleeping
Brain
better.
access.
The sleep piece is huge too.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Because people are not sleeping great either, especially women in this demographic that I work with.
Right.
They fall asleep, then they wake up and they
Hot
stay
flashes,
awake.
hot
They're
flashes,
flashing, but a lot of
sweating.
times they're
Are
drinking.
those the most common that women when they?
I would say the excess weight around the midsection, and a lot of women are drinking wine. They just, and I get the furry eyeball a lot when I'm like, can we cut back? Can we limit that? Can we eventually stop? And eventually you'll get people that will be like, you know what, they wean off and they stop. And then they just from that alone, they'll start to
There's
feel
a whole
better.
mental component to that too.
I
It's
know,
just
to take that edge off.
Well, to take the edge off, but I think if you really want something, if you're not feeling right, and you have the professionals telling you, we advise you, okay, if you're not going to stop, let's cut back 1 or 2.
Right.
Let's see what happens then. And then again, you're fast tracking your progress. But again, it's going to come that mental state of how badly do you want to change? How badly do you want to change the way you feel, the way you look, and affecting, of course, that inflammation component as well.
Right.
So over at Juventi, Rob, what we do is we put patients on a calendar. I literally sit down with the patient. I open up March calendar and I say, all right, I need 14 days. You're not going to drink milk, no milk, because we know that's pro-inflammatory. You're not going to drink alcohol, and we're going to concentrate on getting you better. 14 days. Can you do that? I can't do that. So you're wasting my time and yours.
Right.
Is that what you say?
I really talk to patients
now,
like that
how
because
Do people say no?
no, they stay. They stay.
Because
and they look at the calendar and they pencil in dates and I say, all right, from this time frame, you're going to get better, and we're going to concentrate on that.
Because that's, like I said, a mental component.
Right.
It
You
is,
have to.
it is.
That's basically cold turkey.
Right.
But they have to be in that place.
Right.
They have to be in that place. Like, I am here
They want it
because
bad.
I want it badly enough. I want that change.
Correct.
And that's why I asked you, how often do people really commit? I mean, even to an exercise program, just forget everything else.
Yeah.
Just the exercise. Okay, they're going to go 1 to 2 days. They start with their trainer. All of a sudden, something comes up as an excuse. I miss a day or here or there. But again, they have to examine how badly do you want to change. I mean, if you're not feeling right, not looking right, you have anxiety, you have depression, you're not sleeping. And then if my professional trainer and my clinician is saying, this is what we have to do. Well, I want to sleep better. I want to look better.
Right.
I want to reduce inflammation. I want to think more clearly. I don't want fog brain. So that's what I would want to do. That's that commitment level.
And one of the other questions I have on my check-in form, it's not on my initial intake form, but it's on my weekly check-in form, is a libido question. Like out of 5 stars, where's your libido? And very rarely I'll get a woman that's a 4 or a 5 out of 5.
Low.
And that is it's sad because sexual health is so important too, and that goes all into what we're talking about also. If they're not having sex and they're not having orgasms and they're not getting those hormone release, those good oxytocin hormone releases from all of that, that's a big thing. And I know it's like, oh, it's taboo. It's,
well, we just talked about this last show. Yeah.
But it's so important for women should be having great sex. 50, 60, 70, yeah, exactly.
Period.
But people, but like what you just said, not to interrupt, when you said, oh, it's just I'm getting old, it's my lot in life, that's the way it goes. Well, I'm just not having sex anymore, so, I'm getting older, or my partner is not in great health, he can't deliver the goods, so to speak.
Can't deliver the, that's the whole other topic, the man, right?
I actually have a very good friend of mine who sees a bioidentical hormone doctor that I've talked to that's in the Greenwich, Fairfield County area, and she went in and got herself all together, and she's like, I feel great. I've been bugging my husband every night because I wanted to have sex. She said, and now he goes to see the doctor also because he's like, I don't know what you did to her, but do the same thing for me. But it should be that way. I mean, that's how marriages, I think more marriages would stay together and probably not end up in divorce if they're still having those connected moments. That intimacy is so important.
It's the same thing with the male. We spoke about the last week with the TRT. You know, they come in. I'm here for my friend. I'm here. he has erectile dysfunction, or you know,
it's not me. It's somebody else. Yeah. But you know, I'm glad you said that, Linda. Just because over at you know, me having our own clinic and seeing patients on a daily, we see that change.
Yeah,
and
great.
And our questions are based on around sex, energy, you know, just wanting to do sports, work performance. All this stuff is part of sex hormones, right?
Right.
Libido is just a tail end of it, but it's a good gauge because we get so much out of it, right? There's so much that comes from sex and the oxytocin and our companion and being with our companion and it's quality. It's all quality of life, right? We have patients that come in and it's night and day. They go from having no sex to having sex all the time. But then, like you had mentioned, we have to bring the partner in.
Right.
And I usually tell people when they come in and I educate them on hormone replacement, bioidentical hormone replacement, and we talk to them and we say, this is best that you do it together, right? They come in, husband and wife, 30 years. Yeah, this is my wife, this is my husband and everything. Right. And then when they come in for the follow-up after post-treatment, it's almost like his girlfriend.
Right.
And it's almost like boyfriend.
And they're flirting.
And it's like, and they're flirting and they're like, you know, they're making time to have sex and making time to be together. Like our kids are big and like, you know, they can figure it out. We're going to go out.
Right.
We're
different
going
life.
different life. It's all about quality of life.
It is.
So we can't be absent-minded of any of these things that, you know, that are, you know, God's gift, right? Why should we deprive of any of it? Because it's all based on health. It's all based on lifestyle. It's all based on happiness and fulfillment, right?
We have a little ways left, but before we go on, so Linda, where can people reach out to you?
The best way to find me is on my website, which is Linda M. Stevens. Stevens is with a PH. LindaMStevens.com, and then they can schedule a call with me right there.
Yeah, make sure you check Linda out. She's awesome. And Rob?
Thank you.
So we're at Juventi Medical in Fort Lee, New Jersey. It's Juventi. That's Juventee. We're at, you know, we're taking new clients all the time, helping people.
And trainers.
Trainers, absolutely. We're working together with trainers, and it's the best thing that happened to us.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would really strongly encourage trainers out there in the area and also trainers to feel free to reach out to Linda, very extremely knowledgeable. And Rob, as I said, Rob is working with trainers as that's what we're doing. We're encouraging over the last many years. This is what it's been, the mission, and he's implementing it and it's working, as is Linda. So we want the trainers to work with the doctors, work together, work with a clinician, and then see amazing things happen. It's a game changer. And those that, as we mentioned, those that are not doing it, the trainers that aren't paying attention to what's happening, they're going to be left behind. And I can completely see this ultimately being an industry standard. But like I said, if it does not become an industry standard, it's just going to be the clients of trainers are going to see others excel and exceed expectation in a short period of time with better results for optimal health and performance. So trainers get in touch with your specifically A4M doctors,
correct,
and someone like Linda, and they have amazing contacts as we all do. So feel free to reach out to all of us. And on me, I am at Rob Fletcher Podcast. You can message me there, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so moving on, we have the A4M conference coming up. We have the Olympia coming up. So again, the Olympia and Muscle Fitness Plus is now diving that whole anti-aging space. Tremendous collaboration because we have the anti-aging space now with a global brand going into a market that bringing in the bodybuilders, the trainers, the athletes, bringing everyone together under one umbrella. And the Olympia weekend is in Orlando, 2023. So make sure you check that out.
What is they doing it in September, October?
September, I believe.
Okay.
Check those dates out. Don't hold me to that.
I know.
But yes, so check about two events that are awesome. The A4M conference, May 18th to the 20th in Orlando, and also the Olympia. But moving on, Linda. So
yes.
What would your recommendations be for people out there who may be listening to the show that want to take the first step? My advice would be to reach out to Linda Stevens. But what would you say? Things hit a nerve. what Rob said, what
Right.
you said, that sounds like me. Can you only imagine how many we've hit that sounds like me?
Absolutely.
Men and women included. First steps.
It's, well, just to your point, there's, our country is just, the state of our country is
Terrible.
in trouble. It's terrible. I mean, one statistic said by the year 2030, half of the country's going to be obese, not overweight, like obese.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting, you live in certain areas of the country, like living in Fairfield County, Connecticut. It's, when you live in more affluent areas, people are more apt to take better care of themselves. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
versus other, areas. But everybody needs some kind of help. Someone's struggling in some
Coach,
way with their
mentor,
lifestyle.
advisor, yeah.
Absolutely. But I forgot what your question was.
First steps. You were getting there. First steps for someone looking to make that change.
The first steps I would say is, find someone that you trust, that if you're already working with a trainer or you have a nutritionist, or, if you feel comfortable with your OBGYN, or find someone that you can get some qualified people, get to know people. But, reaching out to someone like me through my website, or Rob, we're the people that are really doing the alternative, the cutting edge, going to A4M, listening to medical doctors talk about this cutting edge new
And
technology.
motivators.
Right.
You're motivators.
Right.
And back to what I said earlier, there's a huge mental piece here. You can want it, but unless you really want it bad enough, no one can want it for
Right.
you. No one can
That's
do your
true, too.
push-ups for you.
Right.
You have to get in there, dial in, take the advice, and watch your life completely change. Just imagine, and I can promise you that. I know it, and we all know it. It takes a phone call. It takes a message, reaching out to the people that can wholly get you on the path to really being your optimize your whole entire life. So, Rob, what would be the first steps you would take for someone looking to find out more about your products, your services?
Absolutely.
Obviously reach out to you.
So I just want to back up a little bit and answer the question that you asked first. So I think vetting clinician and trainer is huge. I mean, there's so many people out there that offer great packages, and it sounds good, but really are they using science as the true motivator to get you better? I think that goes a long way. I think A4M brings that to us.
Right.
Brings the information right on our hands, and shame on us if we don't use it, right?
Exactly. I agree.
So people that are hungry to help and teach and serve, I think those are the people that we have to offer these services to, and have the public go out and look for us, because it doesn't stop. Every day we're learning something new, and every day we want to bring better things to life, and evidence-based practice. Here it goes. Bring it to the patient. Follow the patient. Do follow up. Are these clinicians, are these trainers doing proper follow up with these clients? That you set up a care plan, a training plan.
Right.
You put it to work, implement it. Let me see how it's going. Is it really working for you? Is it not? Let me bring you back in. Let's redesign it, because that's my responsibility. That's my job.
Exactly.
100%.
It's interesting. I was at an A4M last summer in Boston. They did a women's hormone symposium, and I attended. And one of the doctors up there, he was presenting. He was actually talking about TRT in men and does it cause heart disease? And he was just giving a lecture. But he asked the audience, because most of the people that attend are MDs. I go there as a nutritionist, but most in the room were doctors. Anyways, he said, raise your hand if you have, do you have an hour with your patients when they come in? And like I maybe one or two hands went up, and he was like, oh, that's impressive. And he said, raise your hand if you have 30 minutes to spend with your patient. And they, very few hands went up. Raise your hand if you have like 10 minutes tops, like 15, and like a whole, everybody's hand went up. And he said, yes, because MDs just don't have the time to sit down and say, Rob, all right, tell me how you eat, how do you sleep, to dial down and do the deep dive,
Right.
like the words that you used,
Which makes all the difference.
and they don't have that. I've been to the doctor, they have one hand on the doorknob, and they're like, do you have anything else you want to ask me? And
Right.
it's like, no, I'm fine, because I understand that I need to go to someone else like Rob, or someone that's going to give me the more information that I want. But they've just got to get through. They've got to get through.
Super important. And again, back to what you said, Rob, we mentioned it last show too, is vetting. It is a process. Not all trainers are going to be meant for you. and you're not going to be meant for all trainers. And the same goes with Rob. So, and it goes beyond the knowledge. It goes beyond passion. It's really about the connection. And you kind of feel that vibe when you're with somebody. If I'm with Rob and I'm talking to Rob, I'm watching his body language. He's like dialing in. And that was really our first conversation. And he was dialed in. And there was no rushing. And the same thing, I know Linda many years. So it's the knowledge, it's the passion, but it's that ability to connect with you and what your goals are like. And are they really diving into helping you succeed? What are your goals? What are your objectives? What are your needs? How can we help you? How can we get to the next level? And then following up.
Right.
Following up, being accountable on the trainer's behalf and on someone like Rob's behalf. How are you doing? How are you making out? And then have the benchmarks, as Rob said earlier, having a calendar. This is what we're going to do. This is our plan of attack, but making a legitimate plan for you. And not all trainers and not all clinicians are credible. So you vet them, do your research. And again, feel free to reach out to any one of us because we could put you on that path to getting to the right place, even if you're not in this general area. But we're going to close out right now. Linda, thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Where can people get to you?
Best place to reach me is on my website, Linda M. Stevens, STEPHENS, LindaMStevens.com.
And Rob?
Juventi Medical Spa in Instagram. And then our website is juventi.com.
And just make sure you check out Muscle Fitness Plus, especially for you trainers out there. We're offering incredible, unique opportunities for trainers and also doctors under the health, fitness, and anti-aging category. It's a great marketing promotional platform for you, a digital platform where you can have your own dedicated channel. And that too, of course, is vetted. Both Linda and Rob have channels on there. So if you go to Muscle Fitness Plus, you can check out their channels, a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge. Rob Fletcher, Business Development Director for Muscle Fitness Plus. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.